to Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
The Chicago Bears now have a clear path to hire Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, happy Victory Monday. We have not gotten to say that for a very long time. The Chicago Bears snapped so many different streaks in yesterday's huge win over the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they snapped their 11-game losing streak in the regular season. They snapped their losing streak against the Green Bay Packers, and they obviously snapped the losing streak in Lambeau Field as well. They haven't beat the Packers since 2018 overall and haven't beaten the Packers in Lambeau Field since 2015. So that win yesterday over the Green Bay Packers was absolutely sweet revenge. And the fact that it came down to the exact same scenario as when we played them the first time in week 11, and obviously we all know what happened in week 11 when they blocked the field goal. But Good for Cairo Santos for getting that sweet revenge over the Green Bay Packers. Good for Caleb Williams, right? Obviously leading the team down the field with 54 seconds left to go with only one timeout remaining. He showed so much resiliency in that game and just has proved so much to me and proved that he can actually be a franchise quarterback in the National Football League. I do have a quick message to all the Bears fans out there complaining about a win at Lambeau Field, a place the Chicago Bears haven't won since 2015 just because you wanted a higher draft pick. Obviously, if the Bears would have lost to the Green Bay Packers, we would have had the 7th overall pick, I believe, in the upcoming NFL draft. But since we beat the Green Bay Packers, we are now sitting at number 10 overall in the upcoming NFL draft. Look at here, Bears fans. I will take a Chicago Bears win over the Green Bay Packers any day of the week, any day of the year. It does not matter. My hatred towards the Green Bay Packers, I know it's all fun and games, but my hatred towards the Green Bay Packers stems very, very deep. You look at the Green Bay Packers fans right now. I understand they're going to the playoffs, but they are in disarray right now because they don't know how to handle losing to the Chicago Bears because they have been spoiled by winning all these games over the Chicago Bears over the years, and the Chicago Bears finally got one. And really think about this, Bears fans. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears could have easily swept the Green Bay Packers this year. Green Bay was a blocked field goal away from being swept by the Chicago Bears. Huge shout out to Caleb Williams. He is the first quarterback to beat the Green Bay Packers since Mitch Trubisky back in 2018. This is a huge accomplishment, and I understand the Bears are still 5-12, and I understand that the Bears are not going to the playoffs, and we're going to be on the couch, and the players are going to be on vacation in Cancun or Cabo. I do not care. Anytime you're able to beat the Green Bay Packers, whether it's at home or Lambeau Field, which is a tough place to win, especially if you are a Chicago Bears fan or a Chicago Bears player. Once again, something they have not done since 2015. So huge congratulations to Caleb Williams, and I feel like this win can carry over. Remember, Caleb Williams and Thomas Brown's and the Bears team's message going into this game, let's make this a first. The Bears are now undefeated in 2025, and it's a perfect ending to a very long season for the Chicago Bears. So huge shout out to this football team. As always, you know, it's Victory Monday. I usually play my Claws Up song, and I will go ahead and play that Claws Up song at the end, just in honor of Victory Monday. We haven't got to see that song in a very long time, so make sure you put down below in the comment section, FGB first and foremost, Green Bay sucks always, and also Claws Up in the chat as well. So once again, Caleb Williams, congrats on, to me, a very, very strong rookie season. He ends with 3,541 passing yards, 20 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions, which is a really good touchdown interception ratio. He ranks top 15 in most categories and number 1 pick quarterbacks of all time. And of course, with all of the dysfunction around him, multiple head coaches, multiple offensive coordinators, makeshift offensive line as well. I am proud of this young man, and I think we have a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. So now it's up to Ryan Poles to hopefully get the head coaching hire right, to finally build the trenches, build the winning culture here in Chicago, and hopefully take the North and never give it back. And I understand that's something that Ryan Poles has struggled to do in the last couple of years with the Chicago Bears as the Bears GM, but I'm going to continue to have faith in Ryan Poles, and hopefully he can get this right. So, all right, Bears fans, let's go ahead and talk about some Chicago Bears coaching searching updates for this organization. Obviously, Tom Pelissero and Rappaport, among analysts, have been reporting news all day long about the Bears' confirmed request for interviews for their next head coaching opening, and of course some reported interest as well. Names that include Ben Johnson, the OC of the Detroit Lions, is now confirmed. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions, is now confirmed. Anthony Weaver, DC of the Miami Dolphins. Drew Petzing, offensive coordinator for Arizona Cardinals, and Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. And there's also reported interest by the Bears for Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. And then, of course, Thomas Brown, the interim head coach of the Chicago Bears, should get a look as well, among Mike Vrabel and maybe among others as well. So when you look at the initial list, Bears fans, let's start from top to bottom. When we're looking at reported interest by the Chicago Bears, Vance Joseph to me is an hell no. We all seen what he was the first time he was the head coach back a couple of years ago. There's no way in hell I would hire Vance Joseph to be the next Chicago Bears head coach. And let me tell you, if Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren did hire Vance Joseph as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears, I would be absolutely livid. This is not the guy for the job. Whether you want to interview him or not, I guess that's up to you. But please do not hire Vance Joseph to be the next Chicago Bears head coach. When you look at guys like Mike Kafka, OC for the Giants, or Drew Petzing, OC for the Arizona Cardinals, I guess you can bring them in and just see their perspective on how they would, develop Caleb Williams and how they would fix the Chicago Bears offense and see if they can be true leaders of men as well. But to me personally, I'm not interested in any of these guys. I was hoping, and it could still come to life, I was hoping that the Bears would schedule interviews with Liam Cohen, OC for the Buccaneers, and Joe Brady, OC of the Buffalo Bills, because I think those guys have a little bit more of a better track record in terms of maybe developing some quarterbacks. When you look at Liam Cohen with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the work that he's done with Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense has been truly impressive. And then, of course, Joe Brady, what he's been able to do with, I know, MVP candidate Josh Allen and what he's been able to do with the Buffalo Bills offense as well. But when I look at Petzing and Kafka, I'm not really interested. I wouldn't be really excited for those two names as the Chicago Bears next head coach. I guess it could be worse, but they're definitely not my top candidates. Then you look at a guy like Anthony Weaver, DC of the Miami Dolphins. I know that he has a strong track record of being a really, really good defensive coordinator. Has some pretty good stats and pretty good numbers as DC for the Miami Dolphins. I know he can possibly be a really good leader as well. And I know that's what probably Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren are looking at when they're looking at a guy like Weaver. But to me, once again, he wouldn't be a top candidate. I am pleased that they're just going to give him an interview. You guys all know how I feel at this point about DC's being a head coach for at least this team. I'm not saying they can't be good head coaches, but for me, the main focus is Caleb Williams, and maybe Anthony Weaver can possibly be a good head coach. Maybe he has a good solid plan for Caleb Williams, but my problem is if he does get hired and he hires a good OC and that OC is thriving with Caleb Williams, guess what's going to happen? We're going to lose that OC to a head coaching job, and it's going to continue to be a revolving door for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears offense. And that's one of the big reasons why I kind of don't want a DC as a head coach for the Chicago Bears. I know it may sound silly. That is just my personal opinion. Anthony Weaver could very well be a good candidate. I'm pretty sure he'll probably have a really good interview. I know he has a strong track record around the National Football League, but once again, not one of my top candidates. Then you look at Aaron Glenn. I know he has a strong track record around the National Football League as well. I've been truly impressed with what he's been able to do with the multiple injuries he's been dealing with as the defense coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Had a good showing last night against the Minnesota Vikings as well. He could definitely be that leader of men. But once again, I don't think I would be okay with Aaron Glenn as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears as well. And I do think Glenn will end up getting hired by the New Orleans Saints at the end of this whole process. But once again, the Bears are just doing their due diligence and just seeing how he sees the Chicago Bears, especially being within the division, getting to play the Bears twice a year. I think Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles will be really intrigued on what he has to say about the Bears organization. And then, of course, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. We all know how I feel about Ben Johnson. I know how most of you guys feel about Ben Johnson. I know there's some concerns about if he can be a leader, him being a first-time head coach as well. But the proof is in the pudding. Ben Johnson is definitely the flashy candidate amongst multiple different organizations. Right now, he's reported to have an interview with both the Patriots and the Chicago Bears. And to me, this makes a whole lot of sense. You talk about Caleb Williams and what he could be for Caleb Williams. Of course, Ryan Poles will have to build the offensive line because Ben Johnson's not going to be able to bring the Lions offensive line to Chicago. So Ryan Poles is going to have to invest heavily in the offensive line. And obviously, Ben Johnson's got to surround himself with some guys that may have some experience because, once again, he has never been a head coach. But when it comes to running an offense and hopefully elevating Caleb Williams, that's what gets Bears fans so excited. You saw what he's been able to do over the last couple of years with Jared Goff, and Jared Goff has a lot of limitations in his game, and it gets me excited to think on what he could do with Caleb Williams with his certain scheme, right? And that's what gets me excited. And here's what's interesting about this whole thing. Ben Johnson had interest in the Patriots job and the Bears job. And originally, a lot of people were saying it was going to be Bears were at the top of his list. And then you had the Jacksonville Jaguars, because originally the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be able to give him not only head coaching control, but he's going to probably be able to bring his own GM as well. But the Jags did something really stupid. They fired Doug Peterson, but assisted to keep Trent Baalke. There is no way in hell that Ben Johnson is going to want to work with Trent Baalke over there in Jacksonville. And I understand Jacksonville may have some, pieces over there, starting with Trevor Lawrence. They may have some assets in terms of draft picks, and they're going to have one of the most highest cap numbers as well this offseason. So it could still be intriguing, but Trent Baalke is going to be on his third or fourth head coach. To me, that is not long-term alignment for Ben Johnson. So I want to give a huge shout out to Jacksonville for making that dumb mistake to, keep your, basically lame duck GM and hopefully make the Bears the front runner for a guy like Ben Johnson. When you look at the New England Patriots now and their interest, I think at the end of the day, they're going to hire Mike Vrabel because of the connection to the organization. He played for the New England Patriots. I think it makes all the sense in the world, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense for them to go after Ben Johnson because they also have a young quarterback in Drake May, and they also have a lot of draft capital and a lot of money to spend as well. So that could definitely be an intriguing option for Ben Johnson. But when I look at the New England Patriots, and I know this may sound silly, they're in the AFC. And when I say they're in the AFC has a lot of competition. So there's not going to be any easy road for the New England Patriots to make the Super Bowl ever. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, among others. When you look at the NFC, there's an easier road to get to the Super Bowl. I understand the Bears are in a tough division in the NFC North, but once again, the Lions may be a little bit handicapped when they lose both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to head coaching opportunities. We know now that we can probably beat the Green Bay Packers at least once or twice. And I think we can even beat the Minnesota Vikings once or twice once we have a good head coach and we build the foundation and hopefully build the trenches. So to me, it's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks to see if we're able to land Ben Johnson. I know there's a lot of Bears fans, maybe even including myself, that are saying, hey, Ben Johnson or bust at this point. But to me, I also wanted to bring up another strong point about Ben Johnson, and it comes from SearSTower. Once again, he's that X site that has pretty accurate information in terms when we're talking about the Chicago Bears. And he had this to say. He said, Ben Johnson has always preferred the Bears over any other opening this cycle. The Jags were a distant second, but now they're very, very unlikely to reel Ben in. Ben is in the driver's seat for the Chicago job. All the Bears have to do is resolve his concerns. So the concerns of Bill in the trenches, the concerns of the long-term alignment with the GM, and it seems like the Bears are comfortable with possibly giving Ryan Poles maybe that extension to align him with Ben Johnson. And rather you believe Ryan Poles or not, that is your issue. I'm going to have trust in Ryan Poles that he can finally get this thing right, Bill in the trenches the right way, hiring the right coach, meaning hopefully Ben Johnson, and just moving forward and trying to build a culture all about winning. But it starts off with the head coach. And I do think at the end of the day, Ben Johnson will be named the next Chicago Bears head coach. So I think they're scheduled to interview both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, because they're on that first round bye with the Detroit Lions, sewing up that number 1 seed in the NFC with that big win over Minnesota Vikings last night. So they're going to probably schedule those interviews for Wednesday or Thursday this week. It's going to be a 3-hour interview for each over Zoom, so it cannot be in person quite yet. But I'm really interested to see if Ben Johnson ends up taking the Bears job or the Patriots job. But if I had to put my money on it, I think the Patriots end up hiring Mike Vrabel, because I think that connection there makes too much sense. And I think Ben Johnson ends up being the next Chicago Bears head coach. So once again, this is just the first initial reported interviews. I hope the Bears interview Joe Brady and Liam Cohen as well. I think they will also interview Brian Flores and hopefully Mike Vrabel as well. I think they just need to do their due diligence. Don't rush into anything, because we all know this is the most important hire in Chicago Bears history, the most important hire for Caleb Williams' success as well. We all know that we have the quarterback right now, but at the end of the day, we need to get the head coaching hire right as well. And to me, the Bears now have a front row seat, and they're in the driver's seat, to land Ben Johnson as their next head coach. So Bears fans, let me know down below how you feel about this list so far of reported interviews for the Chicago Bears for their head coaching opening. I cannot wait to hear from you guys. But other than that, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
In your mom, get to the bed.
Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. NFC North, we the hardest in our section. When you hear that bear down, you better get the steppin'. Light it up with us, you gon' think we use them hit sticks. Feel like Jalen Johnson take this beat for a pick six. Cali to Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes. Matt Forte, Walter Payton. They sweat me like I'm Tez, cause I'm all pro in the making. So tell me why they hating. We about to take over, they gon' feel what I'm saying. We really back and we ripped off the script. Feeling like Hester when I pop off these kicks. They just mad they ain't pop off like this. We are the Bears and you know what it is. Oh yeah, Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on